I love cats, I love animals, and I can finally take care of them. But the cats are new. Cindy and I both love cats a lot, don't we?
Oh, yeah. One thing, people wouldn't think, well, it's not that hard to hold an animal, but before the surgery, it would have been.
My tremors and my muscle spasms would have been overwhelming for me. It would have been dangerous for the cat.
Like you're going to drink first on one side?
Peter Cohen's dystonia, which began with a tremor in his hand when he was 18, had begun to overwhelm him by the time he was married. He'd had to give up practicing law.
I was basically incapacitated. I couldn't sit, I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand, I couldn't even sleep really. I had constant tremors. I would eat on the floor. I had basically, no life for a long time. When I walked hunched over and my head was tilted down to the left like that. And people would obviously gawk and stare at me. People would make fun of me. That was a very large emotional drain for me to have to deal with that every day. I went to a Dystonia Medical Research Foundation symposium in December 2002. And Dr. DeLong was one of the principal speakers there about deep brain stimulation.
Dystonia is something that I have spent a lot of time with in my work with the Dystonia Foundation and also in caring for patients with dystonia. Our group has been involved very much in development of surgical approaches to treating movement disorders. Peter was in a lot of discomfort, and actually when first time I saw him, as I came into the room, he was lying on the table and obviously in a somewhat contorted position. It became evident to me within a few minutes that he was really very much needed the surgery, and it was not a matter of if, but when. And I think I was pretty forceful in telling him he had to take that step.
I was a little bit nervous, but basically I had no other options. It was my last real hope to get better.
How does that feel, Peter?
It feels okay, but eventually...
Peter's surgery was made possible by years of research by Dr. DeLong and others on non-human primates, in which the structures within the basal ganglia, especially the subthalamic nucleus, have been tied to movement disorders such as Parkinson's disease and dystonia.
Now you should be able to see on the fluoro screen, you should be able to see the electrode going into position.
Peter's first surgery was in February 2003. A second electrode was inserted in June of the same year.
There it is. Good.
It was several months before the stimulation began to help, and for its timing and strength to be optimally tuned.
It's been a long process, but gradually I would find that I was able to do things I couldn't do before. I could sit, I could drive without holding my head up, for example. I could walk great distances. So gradually over time I had more and more things happen that were great for me.
The last time I saw him, I didn't recognize him, believe it or not. And it was not only my experience, but others as well who knew him very, very well, that he was standing erect and tall, and he was very tall. And I literally walked by him, and he reminded it was shocking.
A lot of people say to me that they didn't realize how tall I am. I'm oftentimes almost bumping my head on various ceiling type things because I don't realize now how tall I am. It's great.
This is probably the biggest breakthrough that we've seen in the treatment of advanced generalized dystonia. And I think, for patients and families, it is really, truly a godsend.
I used to bike ride miles and miles a day all the time, but I couldn't hold my head up before. I couldn't hold on the handlebar with my right arm. Now I can. So it's a great feeling of independence to be able to go outside and go for long bike rides. I love nature. I love being able to see nature. I couldn't do it before.